Hello, Jamie.
Hello.
Welcome. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you for allowing me to join you. Yeah, a chilly day in London today.
I know it is very cold, isn't it?
Yes.
And you've come in from Brighton.
I have, close to Brighton. Yeah, not too far away.
Is it as cold? I suppose
It's
it will
pretty
be.
cold, yeah.
Cold and miserable.
It is, yes.
Yeah, typical British weather. I hear you're the proud dad to 3 sons. Is that right? And your oldest one has just gone to uni to study physics. And what I wanted to ask you is, did you have a sit-down chat where you tried to convince him to maybe go into engineering, follow in your footsteps?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, three boys, 18, 15, 7. Yes, I did have a sit down actually. So my oldest is Jack, has always been very academic. He initially was much more focused in computer science, always very strong at mathematics, but physics really attracted him. I think it's the idea of problem solving. And I certainly have shared that journey around engineering for my career. And understanding how those sort of academic disciplines can help solve world problems or societal problems is quite important. My middle boy, Aston, 15, much more on the humanities side, big debater,
right?
History, politics. So yeah, we've got a lot of discussions to have there in the future. My youngest, Maxwell, is 7. He just runs the house. I don't know what really happens there.
Usually do.
Yeah, exactly that.
Yeah. Are they like you, Liverpool fans?
2 are. So my ultimate goal was when Jack came along, he would be my oldest son and follow my footsteps. But actually, he's the least interested in football. The other 2 are pretty obsessed. Yeah, they're big Liverpool supporters. Many people ask me, why do you support Liverpool living in the South Coast?
That was my next question.
My grandparents actually is the reason. So I'm half Irish, and my grandparents came over from Dublin to Liverpool, classic migration route. And I just remember having a Liverpool shirt bought for me since the early days.
And that was it. I did it.
That did it, yeah. And then no one can say that I'm a glory hunter because we had a pretty terrible period when I first started supporting, but it stuck. And honestly, I mean, recently there's some good parallels because I think Liverpool have come on a journey as a football team. Mm-hmm. They had a big drought of any type of winnings or silverware, and they pivoted when they had some new owners who were this US franchise who were behind the Moneyball concept. So FSG, the group were, and if you recall, Moneyball was about how this baseball team, mm-hmm. Oakland A's, sort of outperformed all their big spending rivals by using data. Yeah, and they took that concept over to the Premier League, and Liverpool went on and still are going on a journey of lots of trophies now using this data-driven decision-making approach, which I think should come out in this conversation in terms of how the energy transition and where we're going mm-hmm. is also really premised on a lot of data today.
Jamie, can you tell our audience exactly what it is that you do in layman's terms? Because I know you have quite a complex role within the Hitachi Energy organization.
Sure. Maybe what I do is I take it back one job before the current role. So I spent, since all my Hitachi Energy days at least, looking at digital transformation as a topic. And so previous to this previous role, I was looking at digital innovation. How do we use funding and synergies to really drive digital transformation in our business units? And that's the idea of taking next generation technologies, next generation concepts, business model ideas, and wrapping those into our portfolio so our customers receive the benefits of these sort of new breakthrough technologies whilst still leveraging the domain knowledge we've built up. And so in April this year, we stood up a new business unit, services business unit. And part of that remit is to not only look to try to capitalize our massive install base, $230 billion install base built mm-hmm. over 100 years, but also how do we sort of digitalize that install base? How do we create new digital service solutions that also additionally, like I was doing before, apply these breakthrough technologies that can help us do things more efficiently, more accurately, faster, use AI to determine new insights. And so my role today really is how do we develop this next gen portfolio of digital services?
So you've got your install base, you've got this service offering over the past 100 years. Your role is to come in and add the digital sprinkle to it.
Correct. Yeah. So if you consider any given service can be done traditionally, we can send an engineer to site and they can do an inspection and they can identify a fault. What the digital element allows us to do is, can we do that remotely? Can we do that a lot faster? Do we have to mobilize an engineer? That can be something that can be done in seconds with technology. And so it's a really crude example, but it's an example of how mm-hmm. digital can enable our services businesses to be much more efficient and profitable and also much more effective for our customers.
Jamie, can you tell me a little bit more about the big story behind integrating digital and services in energy right now?
I'll give you an example. So back in the summer, Forbes produced an article and it was called SaaS is Dead. Welcome to Service as a Service. And they intentionally made that provocatively.
Very dramatic.
It is provocative. And they didn't really mean that SaaS or software was dead. What they were saying is that customers buy outcomes. And so if a customer invests in a new CRM system, they're not really investing in it because they enjoy sales workflows. They're doing it because they want to raise their sales pipeline. If a utility isn't looking to buy a scaler for the sake of a scaler system, they're looking to create more efficiencies, more uptime. They want to become much more profitable as an entity. And so that's really highlighting the fact that the customers inevitably are looking for those outcomes. And so when we talk about outcome-driven services, it's the same idea. We have a very great legacy of transactional business. We've been selling physical assets, transformers, breakers, switchgear for decades. What we also now look to do is really achieve these outcomes with our customers. How do we improve the reliability of your network? How do we optimize the operations on a substation? How do we try to forecast events that may happen in the future that could affect the operation? Those are outcomes today that customers actively talk to us about. And that's really the mandate of what we're looking to do inside services, is to provide our customers a flexible outcome so they can achieve their goals at the same time as working with us.
Jamie, you've mentioned that you are outcome driven. These outcomes are being requested by your customers. What do you think your customers are trying to achieve?
I mean, we certainly already have good example of us playing in a sort of availability guarantees. We have a battery energy storage business that sells availability guarantees as part of their service. We've also started to have discussions with customers who are openly thinking about that. I would say definitely across the segments we play in, we see a different perspective. But we certainly see some of the fast moving segments like data centers are definitely signaling to us that they could be open to such an agreement, where essentially we're being contracted to sell energy security for them. In the data center world, losing power is the worst thing that can happen when you're a hyperscaler and you're running so many different AI powered services. And so giving that customer confidence that power is never going to go out and you're the trusted partner is a critical area. And that's certainly an area that we now see the Hitachi Energy services vision and ambition is moving towards, allowing customers to feel that we are a valued partner they can migrate risk to.
If you think of traditional services, and as you mentioned earlier, you think of someone wearing a hard hat doing manual checks, and then you come in and you make the transition into making that process automatic or automated rather. Where do those two meet? How do you make the transition? How easy or difficult is it?
To move from traditional to digital. I mean, in some respects, it could be quite easy. And we already have great examples of...
Because if something works, right, and you've got someone doing that specific job, and then you come and tell them, actually, your job can be automated, it'll help you, but you need to have the transition in terms of their learning curve as well.
Yeah, and I think there are other effects at play here as well. I mean, our customers in every segment are suffering from a staff shortage. They don't have enough staff to do what they need to do. So having any type of automation is useful for them. They also have a staff attrition problem. So in our industry, we have a lot of very skilled engineers that our customers have hired that have been in role for decades. And that decades of knowledge are built up and held in that individual's head. And often when they retire, we lose that. And so there's a couple of activities the business take. We work closely with our software organization to try to embed that tacit knowledge into the software portfolio. So when we do then help our customers and we sell software, that software is intelligent enough to know what it needs to do.
So you find that customer operations have been changing quite drastically as well?
Yes, very much so. And more we see, certainly in our utility space, there's a huge interest in things like robotics, physical AI solutions to help automate and augment the humans. I would never say this is a replacement strategy. I mean, humans will always be in the loop. The domain expertise required cannot be replaced with technology today out of the box. And so what it really means is, for example, if we deploy an automated solution, say, for example, we have some assistance like robotic inspections on a substation. What that really does is it's taking away the need for a human to walk into a dangerous environment, do an inspection, come back and then understand what they've seen. Now, a human could also miss something. Maybe it's been a long day and they miss something key. Secondly, there's a cost impact. The customer has to actually de-energize a substation because it's a dangerous environment. And thirdly, how effective is one person constantly doing the same rounds? And so It's a great example of how a digitally enabled solution can help augment an otherwise effective traditional service, but make it much more efficient, much more accurate, and much more effective for our customers.
So customer needs evolving, you've just mentioned. Utilities particularly are under quite a lot of pressure. How does this translate into what you do? Do you feel this pressure as well?
I think we do feel the pressure, yes. But I think more and more now, certainly seen it in the last 2 years, that our customers are looking at it as an ecosystem lens. They're no longer seeing, I just want to buy some software from you, or I want an advisory report. They're actually saying to us, help us solve this problem. You know, the world is becoming exponentially complex for us. If you think of a utility in any given country, historically, they were just tasked with keeping the power on.
Yeah.
These days, they have electric vehicle infrastructure to push up. Data centers have come out of the blue from nowhere in the last 2 years, where some data center demands are larger than a city or a town, right, in terms of what they would demand. So utilities are asking for help, and they're also asking to create much more automated and efficient systems, and they realize they can't do that alone. So I think the key difference I'm seeing is this ecosystem and co-creation approach that's really assisting the conversation that I have with customers.
So Jamie, if we can talk a little bit about a specific offering that Hitachi Energy provides to customers. You've recently announced HMAX Energy. Can you tell us a little bit more about what this is?
Yes, so HMAX Energy is essentially our AI-powered suite of digitally enabled services or digital services. What that means is that what we want to do now is really leverage the power that AI is bringing. We've seen enormous advances in other sectors with AI. And so we really see there's an opportunity now to have a portfolio that not only takes data from our install base, which we obviously discussed over a $230 billion install base, 100 years, it's huge. Infuse that with AI. So take that data and then infuse our domain knowledge with AI to really create these brand new, powerful, digitally enabled services that can do things that we could never do before. This could be everything from enhancing our ability to forecast a failure before it happens. It could be to evaluate which spare is needed before the failure happens, to sort of have a just-in-time delivery of spare, all the way through to, if you recall, recently we had these blackouts in Portugal and Spain.
Iberian Peninsula, yep.
That is an area today that no one has been able to solve, because the complexity of understanding how a grid will operate in any given time, but then also being able to simulate and forecast an outage like that beforehand, has not been possible. And I think this age of AI and the scope of change we're going through is enabling that. And so what HMAX really looks to do, and HMAX Energy specifically, is leverage the power of that AI to start to open the door to these really complex issues around simulation and forecasting.
So Jamie, can you give me an example of HMAX Energy in action?
Sure, yeah. There are 2 or 3 examples. We have across various industries. So a good one is Tata Steel, where we were using our HMAX Energy solution to improve essentially maintenance performance. So our big power transformers typically are the critical asset. They're the things that cause the most pain if they go down, and they have lots of different failure modes. And so what HMAX Energy has allowed us to do really there is to dramatically improve our ability to forecast issues before they occur. Another one that comes to mind is Baltic Cable, which is where we've deployed our HVDC's digital twin, Identic. And that is used to essentially allow the customer running the HVDC substation to have one single environment where they can hold all their documentation, maintenance records, also understand what condition the site is in. And it's a great example of how we're using next-gen technology like digital twin, but applying it to a real use case that can have benefits directly on site.
Finally, if you wanted our audience to have one takeaway from this episode, what would that be?
I think the one takeaway from this episode is the ecosystem piece. For us to make a societal change around energy, it cannot be one person and it cannot be one company. And I think what we're seeing now is that we're really seeing a unification of different stakeholders across the energy value chain, all looking to do the same thing. And what that also means is, it's a great talent attraction mechanism. I'm seeing huge amount of aspiration coming in through the younger ranks who see sustainability and energy as a great place to come in. And we obviously discussed earlier with my own children that it converges heavily with technology topics. And so it's starting to excite that younger generation. Secondly, it makes impact. I mean, we're already seeing, the benefits of EV penetrations and the changes that are happening in different economies around energy. And so I think more and more, understanding that this is a collaboration, it's a co-creation and an ecosystem play is really helpful. And services is a great place to do that because we really got the ability to then balance whether a customer wants us to be a hands-off partner. We can do this ourselves, just help us with some software, or come in to our realm and really help us solve this together as a full service partner. And so that really is the key takeaway, is considering this as a collaboration and an ecosystem.
Perfect. Thank you so much for coming in today. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you.
Thank you.
I hope to see you soon.
Thank you very much.